Hi, my name is Clif Braun, and over these next 21 videos, I'm going to share with you the Cliff Notes to success, if you will. You know, at 19 years old, I became an entrepreneur, and I started listening to Jim Rohn, Les Brown, Stephen Covey, Brian Tracy, William Bailey, Zig Ziglar, Tony Robbins. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And I spent a fortune reading books, going to seminars, and at 19 years old, I went from making $5 an hour to making $5,000 a week. I went from working at a gas station to being a young entrepreneur. I went from working at Mrs. Fields Cookies in Irvine, California, to being a successful entrepreneur at 19 years old. And I want you to know, it doesn't take a year or 5 years or 10 years to turn your life around. You can do it in 6 months. I did it in 5. And so I'm going to share with you exactly what it takes to do it. And I'm not going to give you vague, abstract, steps to success. I'm going to tell you exactly how I did it in our industry. And, I find it interesting that there's so many people out there today selling their programs or their steps to success, and they've never actually done what you want to do. In fact, most of them never even made money until they convinced you that they had. And so they're out there teaching you how to do something that they've never really done themselves. And so I'm going to give you my entire history from A to Z, exactly how I started in Irvine, California, and from Irvine, California, moving to Monterey Park and San Gabriel, and then moving to Hollywood and, to Koreatown, and my whole entire adventure. Over 30 countries now I've been giving seminars. I became a millionaire at 21 years old, a multi-millionaire at 22. I bought 2 Lamborghinis cash, a Ferrari, a twin-turbo Porsche. I think I've probably spent over $2 million in exotic sports cars. Now I know when you make a lot of money, you're going to build churches, but I was young, and so I bought exotic sports cars, and I've had a blast. I've lived in Africa, I've lived in Europe, I've lived in Asia, I've lived in South America. Obviously, I grew up in North America. I've probably given seminars in something like 35 countries. I remember doing a seminar in Malaysia, and all the women were wearing burqas, and so all I could see was just blinking, and I was like, oh my God, did these guys like me or not? I mean, it was rough. I've given presentations to 2 people. I've given presentations to 10,000 people with my cars on stage. I've given away cars to my top producers. Everything you want to do in this industry, I've done. My first team at 19 years old was 3,000 people. By 21, my team had reached 67,000 people. And, I don't want to tell you exactly how much I was making a day or a week or a year because it's braggadocious, but it was a lot. And in fact, I don't believe today in 2016 anybody has ever broke the records that I've set in network marketing in my early 20s. There is 8 guys on my team under 25, all driving Lamborghinis. I mean, we got the police to give us a private escort from Orange County all the way to Vegas. Well, the police kind of peeled off like halfway. Too expensive to have them go all the way to Vegas. But we had helicopters, police cars, motorcycles. I mean, it'll probably be in a photo gallery on this website somewhere. But the really cool thing is everything I'm going to tell you about is documented. It's all true. It's not exaggerated. It makes me sick to see people selling you guys programs and steps to success that have never really done it. And so I want you guys to know that what you want to do, I've done. I've done it in America. I've done it in Asia. I've done it in South America. I've done it in Europe. I've done it all over the world. And I believe today in 2016, there is not one person on planet Earth more qualified to teach you how to start a team in network marketing from scratch and make it huge. My first team, 3,000 people at 19 years old, all my family and friends said no. My girlfriend said yes. My brother said yes. A guy that I barely knew, who I worked with at In-N-Out Burger, said yes. My boss from In-N-Out, I made a list of 168 people. And out of those 168 people, 164 said no, 4 said yes, and they all quit about 2 months later. And so I had to build my team entirely from scratch. And so I learned how to go out there, and I learned how to meet people. I learned how to start conversations. I learned how to take a compliment. I learned how to set appointments. I learned how to lock down appointments. I learned how to edify, how to promote, how to do a presentation, how to train. And what's sad to me is that in this industry, I would say about 80% of people that get started are starting on the inside of an inside leg, and they're not getting the help and attention and support that they need to be successful. And so, as I've been traveling around the world over the past 20 years, I have to say, every time I do a seminar or a meeting or a training or a powwow or whatever it is, I think to myself 2 things. One, man, that was amazing. I met incredible people. This was so much fun. And I feel like I really added value to these people's, not just to their business, but to their lives, to inspire people and to give them a roadmap. But then the other thing I always feel is they need more, because you can't get it all from one meeting. You can't get it all from one training. You can't get it all from one website or one book. And so when people ask me, I'm the author of the best-selling book, Social Marketing, and people ask me, what book should I read? And the answer is all of them. I think I heard Matt Morris say that. There's so many amazing people in this industry, and the truth is, you got to study all of them. Anybody that says they have it all is lying to you, or they're selling something. And so I want to let you guys know that you're going to find a ton of information for free. I mean, a ton of information. I mean, you could get rich just on the free information on this website that I'm giving away to everybody, because I'm passionate about this industry. When I was 19 years old, I was struggling. My parents got divorced when I was 13. They got remarried when I was 15. They got divorced again when I was 16. And so my mom raised me and my brother, and she had a herniated disc, so she couldn't sit for too long. She couldn't stand for too long. And I can remember days when I would leave for school in the morning and my mom was crying. And I can remember coming home from school and my mom was crying. And I can remember, you know how it is. You've seen your parents cry, especially your mom. You see your mom sitting there and she's trying to pay the bills and she's calling other family members and trying to borrow money. And you ask your parents all the time, what's wrong? And they try to hide it from you and they say, oh, everything's okay. And, my mom hid it from me for as long as she could until the church started helping us, with clothes and with groceries. And I can remember fighting with my mom saying, Mom, we don't really need this help. We don't really need this support. And she was like, well, Cliff, but we do. And so at 19 years old, thank God, somebody tricked me into going to my first network marketing presentation. And it's a friend of mine. We're still friends today. And tricked is a strong word. I just didn't really understand what was going on or where we were going. And he picked me up and he was dressed in a suit and tie. I was wearing a t-shirt and jeans. And I remember saying, man, I want to change. You're wearing a suit and tie. And he goes, no, we're going to be late. We're going to be late. And he took me to the office. We got there and there was about 500 people in this room. And I remember feeling like it was like the Willy Wonka tour. They're giving me a tour of the office and they're introducing me to people and they're showing me pictures on the wall. And I'm like, what's going on? This is the biggest group interview I've ever seen. I didn't know what network marketing was. And, I think I probably would have left had I not been sitting kind of in the front and middle. And I can remember being kind of negative and just sitting there, had my arms crossed, and I was like, I don't know where you grew up or what it's like for you growing up in your hometown, but in Orange County, California, Southern California, the cool thing to do in 1996, and probably still today all over the world when you're young, is to not smile. And so I sat through the presentation, kind of like this, and the tougher you are, the farther back your head is. And my friend elbowed me in the ribs, and he's like, dude, what's your problem? And I was like, what? And he goes, if you're so cool and you're so smart, how come you're broke? And I was like, and the guy on stage said something right at that moment that caught my attention. He said, the mind is like a parachute. It only works if it's open. You're here, you might as well be here. And he went on to talk about how the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer. And if you don't have money to start your own business, then you're always stuck working for the rich people that always have the money to start their own business. And that just made so much sense to me, because I can remember working at the gas station on Jeffrey and Walnut in Irvine, California until 2 a.m. I can remember, all these late nights working crappy jobs that I hated, that I knew weren't going to get me anywhere. And I would look at the people that owned them and were doing all the work and they're making all the money. And I'm not saying a job's a scam or a ripoff. I think a job is great. I think a job is great to pay the bills while you figure out what your passion is. I think going to college is great. A lot of young entrepreneurs nowadays are saying, oh, don't go to school. All the really big, successful entrepreneurs, they all dropped out of college. Look, I dropped out of college and I made millions of dollars. But for every one of me, there's 1,000. There's probably 10,000 that dropped out of college and didn't make it. And now they don't have that degree to fall back on. So, quick little message. If you're a young entrepreneur and you've subscribed to my website or you're purchasing this, I want you to know that it's very important that you stay in school, because it's always nice to have something to fall back on. Not to mention, it's also cool just to be a well-educated, well-rounded person. For me, going to college was like painting my fingernails while the house was burning down. I had to make money, and I had to figure out how to do it fast. So I jumped in, and I jumped in all the way. I made $2,000 my first month in network marketing, quit my job, made no money the next month, burnt out my entire warm market because I had no idea what I was doing. And so I had to learn how to go out there and build this business cold market. And I learned how to recruit waiters. I learned how to recruit people in a parking lot. I learned how to recruit people out of a fishbowl of business cards. I mean, I've learned so much because I had to. And I truly believe that what Tony Robbins says is true. People either change from inspiration or desperation. And I promise you, for me, it was desperation. I mean, I remember doing presentations and people could hear my stomach growling because I was freaking starving. I mean, I was selling a dream and living a nightmare. It was tough. I can remember my brother and I going to the grocery store and just kind of looking around and going, oh God, you know, what are we going to be able to get today? And I'm so sick of spaghetti with sauce and butter and salt and jam on it. I mean, you can do some interesting things with spaghetti. You know, Wheaties, top ramen. We were just eating the same things. I finally got a Chevron gas card, $500. We were so sick and tired of eating at Chevron that what we did is we stood in the Chevron parking lot in Hollywood, California, and you know, right there on Sunset, and I forget the cross street, right by the Laugh Factory. And I can remember people would come in, and I'd be like, hey, can I put your gas on my card, and you give me the cash so I can go get food somewhere else because I'm tired of eating at the Chevron. And people looked at me like it was a scam. And it was tough. And so when you're really passionate about this business and it's not working, I know how frustrating that can be. And I'm here to help you. I'm here to support you. I know right now you might be in a part of the country where they don't have big meetings. You might be in a part of a team where you're not getting the help and the support because of your positioning. I've seen so many people in this industry fall victim to poor placement just because they got put in the wrong place. Their future is dark because somebody put them in the wrong place. And so I'm here to help. I'm here to support. My name is Clif Braun. And over these next 21 videos, you're going to get a ton of information you've never heard before. I guarantee it, okay? Now, a lot of the information is going to be fundamentals and basics, stuff you have heard before. But I promise you guys, all of the tips, all of the tricks, I don't use scripts because I believe that they're unauthentic, they're insincere, and people see it coming from a mile away. But I'm going to give you some key phrases because a lot of people don't struggle with, you know, what to say once the conversation has started. It's almost like, how do I go up to a girl and talk to her? Well, that's the hardest part. Once you get it going, then the rest kind of like falls into place. And so I'm going to show you how to start a conversation with a complete stranger, how to recruit in a new area, how to recruit cold market, how to recruit warm market. I call it your warm market because there's nothing harder. And so this is kind of a long intro video, but I start to get excited. I'm going to save the rest of it for these 21 videos. You're going to absolutely love it. And it's all applicable information that you're going to be able to use and start seeing results right away.